This is the Art of Network Engineering podcast. In this podcast, we'll explore tools, technologies, and talented people. We aim to bring you information that will expand your skill sets and toolbox and share the stories of fellow network engineers. Welcome to the Art of Network Engineering. I am AJ Murray at No Blinky Blinky, and I am joined by a full house this evening.
Literally.
Across the table is Tim Bertino. He is at Tim Bertino on Twitter. Tim, how you doing?
I'm having a great time. And as anybody probably would have guessed, we're at a live event, so I've been drinking.
Well, you do that even at not live events, so that's fine.
Sure, let the cat out of the bag. I've been having a blast. It's been great to see everybody. I can't believe once again, 2 years in a row, the amount of people that have traveled to come hang out with us. I mean, you all realize we aren't that cool, right?
Oh, they know.
No, we love it. We love it. I'm having a great time. It's great to see you, AJ, and the rest of the crew.
Awesome. And across the table is Andy at Andy Laptef. How's your AirTag there, Andy?
I'm good. I got a call from the wife that the dog's Apple AirTag on her collar has been freaking out since I left for this trip. And we're over here before the show started trying to figure out how the hell to stop it.
Yeah.
She's like, "Can you fix this?" I'm like, I could try.
And I love that like a room full of people is helping you do that.
Yeah. Shout out to Chris Denny. Who else helped? Was it
And Nick?
And Nick? Yeah, Nick and Chris Denny helped me out.
It's like the tack of AirTags.
You two may have saved my marriage, so thank you. Beyond that, I'm great. It's been a fantastic trip. I can't wait to talk about some of the cool stuff we've done, like what's it called? Neutron bullets.
Ooh,
We'll
yeah.
get to that.
Yeah. We won't give it away.
a technical-
Is that the technical term?
that's
right
actually-
next to the...
Huh?
What was the other technical term we learned? There.
The fancy doohickey.
The fancy doohickey we saw.
I gave it that name, by the way.
Yes.
It is in the scientific dictionary,
Yes.
All right.
Trademarked.
All right.
if that's a thing.
And right next to that is Dan's face.
Yeah.
Registered trademark, Dan Richards.
Going.
And I am very excited to welcome Alex Perkins at Bumps in the Wire. Alex, it's so great to meet you in person. I've been editing your face here for a while.
Editing your face.
It's great to hear you. Great to see you.
Awesome to be here. I drove in this morning. It's awesome to meet all you guys in person. It's been a while. I never thought I missed Asheville. Literally, I moved to Asheville a week after you guys had the meetup.
Yeah, that's right.
So
That's bad planning on your part.
I was there like 2 weeks before, scoping out a place to live.
Oh,
And then you
man.
guys came, and then I moved.
Yeah. Way to take ownership of that, Alex. We appreciate it.
You're like, come on, honey, we gotta go. We gotta go.
So, this is awesome, though.
Awesome. And the one, the only, howdy packet. Dan Richards, how you doing, man?
I'm doing good, AJ. How about yourself?
I'm doing great.
Yeah.
I'm doing great.
This week has been awesome. Like, we were learning about neutron bullets and one day, and then today, this morning, we went and toured a studio's some of their video and audio networking and whatnot.
And that was very impromptu. We'll get to
Yeah.
that in a second. though,
Yeah,
yes.
but it was cool.
So I have to say that we are joined by a group of people here.
Say hello, people.
I know Eric's back there. Where'd Eric go?
There he is.
There he is. All right.
They were all trained to be very excited to be here.
No, but we really appreciate you guys making the trek out, coming and hanging out with us. It's so good to see some of you again and meet some of you for the first time. We really, really appreciate you coming down to hang out with us.
Hey, I just want to throw out there that they get 2 live shows.
I know.
Yeah.
I know.
How
right?
about that?
Special.
They're
All
that
for
was
the same
super
reason.
exciting.
That was such a pity woo.
Yeah.
We'll take it.
But we appreciate that, Chris. Thank you.
I welcome it. So
All right, so let's see. The last time we recorded a little episode for the K-Tech Connect event, we were hypothesizing about what we were going to learn at the Oak Ridge National Laboratory on Thursday. For frame of reference, it's now Friday evening, so we're going to kind of go through what we talked about and learned from ORNL yesterday, and then we'll talk about what we did today, and we'll talk about what we're going to do tomorrow to cap this thing off. So yesterday, we went to Oak Ridge National Laboratory. We hung out with Daniel Pelfrey.
Pelfrey.
Pelfrey. There's an R in there. Daniel Pelfrey. He's a senior network engineer over there. We're going to be interviewing him tomorrow at the live simulcast event. And Daniel took us through the whole area. We got to see some really cool stuff, learn more about his job as a network engineer there. And we were also joined by Katie, the media chaperone. She's in charge of media there for the laboratory, and she was just super cool. She played along. She's in one of our TikTok videos where we were trying to hype the event. And it was so funny because I'm pretty sure when I originally talked to her, she said, you can't go into the data center and record stuff where they have the supercomputer. I'm like, okay, that's cool.
Makes total sense.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So we're standing outside Frontier, which is the fastest supercomputer in the world, and it has been for the last 18 months. And there's a landing, and you can look into the data center, and they're actually changing out some nodes. Mm-hmm. And we're like, can we take pictures of that? And she's like, oh, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
And so, we're interviewing Daniel outside the window where you can see Frontier behind him. And then all of a sudden, Katie's just like, okay, we're going to go in the data center now. And we're like, what?
Yeah. No big deal.
So that was really, really cool to see Frontier up close. And we got some great video, good interviews inside the DC with Frontier. And we're going to post all that on a YouTube video. What did you guys think? What was your favorite part about yesterday?
Yeah, that was awesome. So when we first saw Frontier, I was like, all right, they were spitting off the different, how many exaflops?
Just looking it up.
Was it 1.5, 2?
1.21 gigawatts. No. 1.102 exaflops, which is 1.102 quintillion operations per second.
Yeah. So they were saying all that, and then I asked her if it would run Doom, and and she said, well, most of the time people ask us if it will run Crisis, and I was like, okay, all right, that's good enough too.
This was right after Dan discovered and named the fancy doohickey.
Yeah. So the fancy doohickey is a cool gadget or whatever. It's this it's kind of like a table with this little arm that comes up. And you can put a blade in that arm, and it will raise it up vertically, and then you can raise the entire thing vertically to slide it into one of the chassis. So I've seen server lifts before, it's just a flat lift that you can kind of crank up. Yeah. But I've never seen one like this before where it actually took the node and put it up vertically,
right?
And then they can slide it straight in. So that was actually kind of cool, honestly, to see that. I've never seen one of those before.
Yeah, I haven't seen that either.
So I'm trying to remember. Did they say there was 42 nodes per cab, right?
I don't remember, but
I forget the number. It was huge. So there's 4 GPUs in each one of those blades.
Right.
Okay. Yeah.
There's a crap ton of blades in each one of those racks,
Yep.
and I don't know. It was 35, 40 racks. I forget what she said, but there's an enormous
amount.
Was it
compute
like
in
7
that place.
rows?
I think it was more than that.
9 rows?
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah, it's not 9, 10, 11 rows, something like that. Yeah.
So we walked in like, what's a supercomputer? What does this all mean, right? And even with exaflops, it's like, what? But I the best description I heard of it was they called it a time machine.
Yes.
Which really got my attention. And the way they framed it was, this is all like math and code and like crunching numbers to try to figure out science or medicine or like a virus thing or astrophysics stuff I'll never understand.
Yeah.
But they said, it could take, it could take 10 years for a room of the brightest people on the planet to figure out a problem. When you feed it into Frontier, you take 10 years. What was it down to
weeks.
I don't know. Yeah, days, weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so that I really like that time machine, so they can make progress so much faster.
Right.
So
what was the one thing that they were talking about where they, for 1 year of time with them, was 6 or 7 years at something else, and I can't exactly remember what that was. I'll have to ask Daniel.
was it the other supercomputer, the older one or
yeah,
something?
the Summit,
Yeah.
maybe? Was that
Yeah.
it? Yeah. But it's just crazy what these supercomputers can do in that sense. And then also with we met another guy at the the high flux isotope.
Yeah.
And so his job it's so cool. But basically with those reactors, they're pulling they are making a neutron beam, right? And they're and so there's different ways to weld metals and different materials and whatnot. And so one of the practical uses of it was they were shooting neutrons at that at those welds, and then they could take the data that they collected from that, run it through the supercomputer, and they could basically tell, some kind of manufacturer that with the type of weld that they use, how long that weld will last, and also like, hey, is this going to fail real quick or not? And it's like, so on one end, it's like the COVID and all that stuff, and then on the other end, it's like welds. It's just crazy.
So
like,
many practical applications in that
Like
lab.
if you're like a rocket company, right,
Yeah,
and making
yeah.
stuff that's they shoot neutron bullets through this thing, and there's some magic, get some data on its like structural integrity or whatever the hell,
Right.
tensile strength, and then feed that data into the Frontier supercomputer, and they can tell how long this piece will last.
Right.
Because you don't want to shoot like a rocket into space if it's not going to last like through the
Yeah.
it all just blew my mind. Every time anybody there talked, I had the
Right.
dumbest look on my face. I tried to ask a question that made some kind of sense, but we saw a nuclear reactor.
Yeah.
We learned how nuclear fission worked.
Right.
We learned what neutrons were.
Well, we say learned. I listened.
I heard what they
but
were.
even the medicine. So
Yeah, oh, yeah,
they
yeah.
put, there's these rods they put next to the plutonium, whatever the hell it is that creates the neutrons, and somehow
Uranium.
they create isotopes. So like if somebody has a tumor and they want to implant like radioactive seeds to treat it from the inside out, that's part of what this place makes.
Yeah.
In that nuclear
Right.
reactor.
Yeah.
So they're
Yeah.
making medicine, and I was just so blown away.
And then you know what else was cool that I never even thought about? But like, so what they're also doing is they're putting things inside of that to see if they can withstand the radiation,
Right.
right? And it was just like, what? And it's in these little pills almost. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know what you'd call them, a little capsule, right? And they put different types of materials and just different things like that.
we have to touch on the history of the place.
Yes.
Right.
Oh,
yeah.
So I thought we were just going to see a supercomputer, and I didn't know what the hell that was. And then we get there, and there's this whole wall of these really cool pictures that shows the history of the place. It starts with Einstein, and it's superimposed over like a letter. So apparently, Albert Einstein wrote a letter to the President of the United States at the time talking about nuclear, I don't know, energy. I don't know what the context was, but he's like, we have to get involved in this because I'm Einstein, and you should listen to me.
Do you know who I am?
So they created this place, and it's where the Manhattan Project happened, where they created the first nuclear reactor. They figured out nuclear fission. It became, weaponized too, but just how this guy wrote a letter, and they created this amazing place. And then you learn so many, like we said, the medicine. There's so many amazing applications of nuclear energy that I wasn't even like aware of. So it was just such an amazing, even just the history of the place.
And that's something that they really want to advertise is,
Yeah.
hey, we know why this facility was born. And there's so many layers to the lab. You think lab and you think, okay, there's nuclear activity happening, nuclear reactors, but there's just so many components. There's now the supercomputing facilities that have been there for a long time. And what they really tried to drive home to us was that, yes, this was born out of what was deemed wartime necessity, but now we're looking at peacetime practical applications.
Yeah,
things
saving
like
lives.
healthcare. And, even down to, I love, Dan, how you mentioned it, the range of practical applications. They were doing a lot of research on COVID-19 very early. And then we're talking about testing using neutrons to test structural integrity of manufactured devices.
Yeah.
It's just wild.
And so one thing I'm really excited about tomorrow is to dig in a little bit more with Daniel outside of that, kind of the tour environment and seeing how networking applies to some of this supercomputing, because, he brought up some cool stuff there, but it'll be nice to kind of bring him out of that and let's talk about it, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
You just reminded me, bringing up Daniel. I was telling him how impressed I was at how smart those people are, and he had a really cool retort to that. He's like, "Well, they're all smart at what they do." He's like, "But I'm the networking guy, and when somebody comes to me, the super scientist who's trying to do something, I'm like, yeah, I'm trying to send 1.2 terabytes of data through the network, and I'm having a problem." And Daniel's like, "I know how to help you."
Yeah, right.
So
I didn't hear
that's-
that. That's good.
That's what I wanted to bring up too, because they're all specialists in what they do, but they then in turn rely on each other for the mission. So what I thought was really cool was that we're walking down the different halls and the different common areas, and we're seeing people just sitting at tables talking, and you can kind of tell that they're talking about work. They're not just socializing. They're
Right.
talking about work. So they're meeting up and they're saying, hey, meet me in this spot so we can talk through this thing. I pushed on that a little bit with Daniel tonight when we were at the event, and he said, you know what that was born from? And I said, what? And he goes, well, a lot of people around here like to do Pokemon Go.
Oh no.
So there would be times where there's just like 5 minutes in one of, what's that called when there's like a big grouping and
No, it's probably a raid.
a raid
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
So a raid would happen. There'd be like 5 minutes where a bunch of people would just go outside. And he goes, I don't do a lot of that, but I would go out and talk to them. That's how I would learn what some of these other people do that I don't necessarily interact with every day. So they would meet each other this way, find out what each other do, and then find ways to collaborate. And that's when they start talking in the halls and that kind of thing. It's just,
Wow.
it's a really interesting atmosphere.
And the people there, like, I don't know why I think people so smart that can like try to work out like cures for cancer on supercomputers wouldn't have emotional intelligence and be, you know, empathetic people. Daniel was telling me a story on the way out of Topgolf tonight that, because I told him how impressed I was with the place and the people, and he said, you know, we're so close there. He was talking about a very good friend of his that was working on the supercomputer team and then got sick and passed, and they named one of the racks after him. It's like the Anderson rack
wow.
or something. So just, you know, they're just great people. They're super smart, and they love their jobs in the place, and like they're naming this amazing, you know, parts of this amazing machine that are helping cure all kinds of human problems and issues. Like they named it after this guy. Like just such a sweet, you know, it's such a great group of people over there.
That's
Yeah,
pretty-
welcome to the South, Andy.
Giddy up.
That's a pretty grand gesture, right?
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Did they say, so did they like auction off time? I wasn't there for it. I wish I'd come a day early.
So that process is really interesting. And Katie, the rep that we worked with, she said that her team helps handle that. So
Right.
you basically have to, and she says it works a lot like the collegiate area, right? Like where you want to submit for a grant. You're basically doing the same thing. You have to submit, you know, your study and case for wanting to use supercomputer time to them, and a bunch of people, you know, both in general that manage the supercomputer and in a particular practice area where that study is, you know, from, right? Like if it's health or whatever, will look at it and say, does this merit the time that you're asking for?
Yeah.
And then
they rank that too.
Right.
Yeah.
And then they also have people that will help ensure that the code that they want to run on the supercomputer is optimized to run on it. And they do like a number of like codeathons and stuff like that, so that way they can kind of crowdsource like the best possible ways to run these algorithms and everything on the supercomputer. So it's a really cool process to learn about how they.
And what was it that was running like when the other stuff isn't running? There was something else that was running in the background. Or not in the background. But anytime
Whenever
that
there was like
available-
idle time or whatever
Yeah.
like that. Yeah, I
I
forget.
can't remember what that was.
Yeah.
Lining.
Yeah.
So that's their goal, right? Is to have as minimal amount of idle time as possible.
Right,
so
right.
they find creative ways to run it, and that's, I wanted to key in on that. AJ is they try to provide that value add. It's not just, hey, we've built this supercomputer, come use it, you're on your own.
Yeah.
But they have specialists that will try to help their users get the most out of it.
Because even the Jeff guy, he does similar things, right? He's not involved with the supercomputer. He was more involved with like the neutron bullet.
What caliber is that, by the way?
I don't know, but it's
Real
moving.
big.
It's going fast. I believe Katie said they don't charge for time on the supercomputer.
If your
If you
project
publish.
oh yeah, right.
Right.
You can use the supercomputer at a price, or if what you're doing gets published,
if it's becoming public domain knowledge,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
right,
I just
and you
thought
don't even
was-
have to like give away your
Trade secrets.
trade secrets or anything like that. Just if it gets published, it'll qualify for a government grant.
So
usually.
contributing to the common good via publishing.
Right.
Yeah.
Have at it.
Yeah.
Go
Right.
use Frontier, which I thought
So
was
is this government money being used for good?
That's what it sounded like to me.
Okay.
So it's a lot like the James Webb Telescope, which is why I brought this up.
Oh, okay.
There's been a whole bunch of talks about how they have to share time.
Okay.
And like there's so many entries that they can't even like. There's more demand than there is
Right.
capacity.
Yeah.
So I'm guessing it's pretty similar to that.
Yep.
That's cool.
Yeah. What else? Let's see.
Let's touch on some of the. So we hear about stuff like a supercomputer. That's awesome. It can do all these exaflops of data. But what are they using it for? So we heard a couple of really cool use cases.
Yep.
So one was very early on in COVID. It sounded like, in like February 2020, they were starting to get reached out to and say, hey, we think we got something here. We need processing power. We need to run the data we have. So they were involved early on. And then another thing that I thought was really cool that they've been doing is they have a goal of trying to assist in mental health for
Suicide prevention.
for Department of Veteran Affairs.
Yeah.
And they're using processing power, supercomputing power to gather and analyze a bunch of different data to get proactive to try to help people. I'm like, that is incredible how technology is helping that way.
And one thing too, so what was the gentleman's name that spoke?
The guy from lunch.
Yeah, Edmund?
Yeah.
Edmund Begoli. He's a PhD. He leads the AI systems for research and development there. So today we had the lunch at Chop House, and he spoke for a little bit there, and he was talking about how they were feeding a bunch of data into the supercomputer for the COVID thing, and they were working around the clock. And he said roughly around, what was it, 4 weeks or so?
It was a number of weeks.
Yeah. That they were able to churn out, whatever they needed from that, right?
Right.
I think he said that they had analyzed the virus and they had found potential attack points, right? That they could use to focus medicines on.
Yeah, like the vaccinations and whatnot. Yeah. So
could you imagine? I mean, if we didn't have that supercomputer, we'd probably still all be in lockdown right now.
Yeah, right.
Right. I mean, that's a reality.
Time machine.
Exactly.
Well, what's the? We took a picture of it before we left. There was a big sign in one of the entrances that just says "Solving Big Problems."
Yeah.
If what we just talked about aren't big problems, I don't know what is.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that was pretty good.
So we had a great tour at ORNL. After that, we had our first event. It was a networking event at the Print Shop Brewery.
Yeah.
And so
I like beer.
Who doesn't?
And they have good beer.
They had very good beer.
Yeah,
They had very good, and it was really cool. So it was called Print Shop because it was an old print shop. And so this local craft brewery had all these tap handles, as most breweries do. And they had used the letters from the old printing press on the tap handles, and it spelled out Print Shop. Of course, it was backwards because it's a print shop.
Yep.
But a lot of people are like, why is it backwards? Is it because you can take a selfie and it'll... No, it's just because it's a print shop.
Oh, how the times have changed.
Oh, yeah.
But no, that was a good time. Opengear was there. They were a sponsor of that one. And yeah, it was great to meet a lot of people. Andy and I met this really cool cat, Zeb. I hope he hears this. So
Andy doesn't like him anymore.
I just wish I had my stuff together as much as our 23-year-old friend Zeb does.
Yeah.
He's just killing it. He's killing it.
Yeah. So he works at a local company that does a lot of layer one stuff. He's a project manager now. He was or has his electrical engineering degree. He's also a private pilot. He said that him and his grandfather went in together and bought a Cessna 150. And then they both got their pilot's license from that purchase.
As you would do.
Yeah.
And like Andy said, this guy's like 23. He's got all this stuff going for him. It's like, God damn, that's so cool.
Yeah. Hey, it's on my checklist, okay? Yeah. But I just haven't got to.
Dan's getting there.
Yeah. I got to figure out what a pilot's license is anyway, so.
Jesus. Nice. So let's see. That was the end of day one for us. It was a long ass day. We had a lot of fun. It ended up going out. Did we go out? Yeah, we did.
We came back here and recorded an episode.
Oh, that's right. We came back here and recorded a podcast.
I got to bed at like 1:30 in the morning that night.
That's right.
I was ticky-talking.
Wait, that
wasn't that night.
That wasn't
Andy's so tired. We recorded an episode the day we
the day we got here.
Yeah. But
The day-
After the networking event,
yeah.
we were going to go to Dan's Speakeasy that was closed.
yeah,
Dan doesn't want to talk about it.
I was so disappointed.
That red light was on and everything.
Red light was on.
know.
Dan had the code.
I was knocking on the door.
I think it was open. They
Yeah.
saw us coming.
They saw Dan coming, like, no, we're not letting that guy in.
But
Yeah.
the rooftop place we went
I
to.
got to go. I got my
Yes.
roof.
Yeah.
roof.
Yeah,
I got my. It's
Roof or roof?
roof.
Do you say data or data?
Who? Nobody says data.
Uh-oh. Moving on.
It's data or data.
Yeah. I say data, but
I say exaflop.
exaflop.
The Exaflop Center.
Yeah, we were also on like a date that night too. Remember?
That's right.
Dan, it's a
That's
good
right.
thing my wife doesn't listen to this show.
I mean, not us.
So
but,
I do want to. What was that? What was the street we were on?
is it Maple?
Because
Street?
what's cool about it is it's set up
Market
like
Street.
It's set up like a really large street, but there's businesses on either side, and it's really just a big common area.
Yeah.
They had music. They had live music. We found our rooftop bar,
Roof.
and it
Rooftop.
was just a gorgeous night. It was
Yeah.
a lot
yeah.
of fun.
Yeah. That was great.
Yeah.
It was great. So then today we had a lunch event at the Chop House, and that's where we got to hear from the AI, head of AI.
Yeah. Bengali or something like that. Yeah.
So, funny story. I took us to the wrong Chop House.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I was so proud of myself because we got there like just before noon. We walked
Yeah,
in.
it was
and we're
11:59 when we rolled in to the wrong one.
Yeah. Right before noon.
like, all right, we're here for the K-Tech event. And the girls at the hostess, they were like, what?
Yeah.
We got like a birthday party sitting right here.
Yeah.
Is that you guys?
Same reaction we got from the JTV security guard at the wrong entrance.
Oh,
Yeah.
I forgot. We went to JTV this morning.
We're here for the
Right.
tour. What?
Excuse
yeah.
me,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
don't
sir.
think you are.
The hell you are.
All right.
Not my time.
So I'll finish that story later. I got to back up. So tomorrow's event on Saturday, we're going to Jewelry TV. It's like a QVC for jewelry. I
Yeah.
mean, I just thought it was like a place called Jewelry for whatever reason, but that's all they do, right?
Place is pretty nice.
Yeah. So we got to go see where the event is happening, and it's in one of their auditoriums and studios. We got to talk to their director of like broadcast technology, broadcast engineer.
Yeah.
And Derek, he was a nice guy. And, once we started talking about like house sound, AV, this and that, we're network engineers, he was just like, all right, let me give you guys the nickel tour. And so we got to look at some of their studios, some of their AV tech. Dan kind of nerded out on some of the cameras that they were using there. And then he opened a door and you could hear that, the fans and stuff from a data center. We're like, oh, okay.
Here we go. Yeah, and then I was surprised by him too because he was talking about VSS.
Yeah.
And so I was like, oh, okay, you know what you're talking about.
Well, what's funny is right before that we asked him. We're like, so do you get into any of the networking? He goes, no, I'm a broadcast engineer. We have network engineers for that. And then we walk over and we see a Cisco chassis switch, and he just starts going all in on it. He goes, yeah, but it's end of life, and we're getting it next year, and we're getting it replaced, and we're thinking of getting two and doing VSS. And I'm like, you just said,
Yeah.
you weren't the guy.
Yeah, exactly.
So he's been there like 21 years.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm sure he's developed relationships with different people
Right.
Within IT and his.
He was talking about like SD-WAN.
has learned a lot.
He
It
talking
was
about
super cool.
Nexus, and so
But he wasn't the network guy.
yeah.
Yeah, that was really cool. That was fun to see. And I'm looking forward to going back there tomorrow to do the event.
Yeah.
Live simulcast. And then we came back here for a little bit at the A1 house, hung out, and we went to Chop House. And so I brought us to the wrong Chop House. I typed into Google Maps Chop House. I saw the correct address. I thought I was tapping on the correct address, and my fat fingers must have hit the wrong one.
Yeah, but that lady said they had 4 chop houses in this area.
I
What
said
is
two.
going on?
I'm like, oh yeah, there's 2 here. She's like, we have 4.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, you
like,
better help
wow.
us find the right one. And they did.
Yeah.
But and then what after Chop House?
So, well, I'm glad that we got to Chop House late because that's where we sat down and had lunch
Yes.
with I'm sorry, what was his name?
Begoli.
Begoli, with Begoli. And we had the coolest conversation about AI and technology and the stuff that he works on. And
Yeah.
I mean, I'm seriously, I'm glad we got there a little bit late. Otherwise, we wouldn't have had that conversation.
I don't
Yeah.
even think, did any of us three even know it was him?
Yeah, not
I don't think so.
That was funny.
three of us
Yeah,
just sat
yeah.
there
Because
talking.
I was sitting at another table and you guys went and sat with him, and all of a sudden Eric comes up and announces who the speaker is, and I think one of you guys gets nudged.
Yeah. I was
I gotta go speak.
Yeah.
Yeah, we
That
saw
was cool.
he had an Oak Ridge laboratory
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
shirt polo on. I'm just like, oh, what do you do there? And he's like, oh, well, I'm the head of AI.
Yeah, and it's like, oh, so you're the guy.
He's like, yeah, I'm giving a little talk here this afternoon. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, cool.
No,
But
it
we
was
covered
great.
some really high level topics around not just what is AI, but how it works and
Yeah.
some of the methods and algorithms at play. And then at the end, we got to have a really good Q&A on people were asking, where do you think AI is going? What are some of the data governance
Yeah.
concerns and considerations? And just an excellent conversation. And what I liked about it was he was very upfront and says, I'm here to give a presentation, but I'm here for you to get the most out of this as possible. Stop
Right.
me whenever you need and ask
Yeah.
questions. And it was a really cool atmosphere.
And then he had a counterpart there. I think it was Amir. Yeah, Amir. And we got to chat with him for a little bit. Or
Yep.
were you with me? Yeah.
Yeah.
We got to
Yeah.
chat with him a little bit afterwards too.
Very
and
cool.
He was very down to earth. Very cool guy.
Yeah. After lunch, we came back to the A1 house and we recorded some content. We're doing some short form content for a sponsor. We had a lot of fun with that. So setting up the camera, micing up people,
Yeah.
recording some stuff. We'll
Him
get
dressing
to,
up, You
Tim's
Just
a good
another
actor.
day.
if anybody was walking by, I don't know what they would think. But
So we recorded some content and then we headed on over to the next event as part of the K-Tech Connect, and it was Topgolf. I love me some Topgolf. I wish we had a Topgolf in Vermont, but we don't because
Hey,
Vermont.
come on down
lacks.
to Nashville.
I will.
I've never
Trust
been
me, I
there
will.
actually, but this was my first time at a Topgolf, and AJ was giving me some pointers there. He
Yep.
he hugged
Check
me.
Twitter.
Yeah, check Twitter.
It's public.
Yeah, he was helping me on my swing there and telling me not to what do you call it, chip it or
Slice.
Slice.
slice it. Yeah,
It's all in the hips.
it's all in the hips, buddy. Let me tell you. No. But no, that was a lot of fun. I got to play Topgolf for the first time, and it was a lot of fun. I'd do it again.
We found out how good of a golfer Tim is.
No, it's
Yeah.
such a dumb game.
But yeah, so Dan gets up there first. He takes a few hits, and then I took a few hits, and then I handed the driver over to Tim. He's like, "All right," and then he's hitting them straight and far.
Yeah.
It's like, well, what the hell?
So I was watching Tim. I was watching his process. He does some like sensei thing where he holds it out the golf club, and I don't know what he's doing. But he's like he does something, and then he's like, all right, I'm about to hit this thing, and then he'd whack it, and it just.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be it's supposed to get your body pointed the right way, because I always have
Okay.
that problem of
So you're lining yourself.
yeah, I'm
up.
lying to myself. I learned it from my dad,
Gotcha.
but yeah, I like your way better.
Did you call him sensei?
No, I'm giving a mental sacrifice.
Oh yeah.
It's a whole process.
Is that how you start your maintenance windows too?
Yeah.
You hold your keyboard up and like.
Exactly.
So that brings us to here. We're recording an episode. We've got some of our friends around us. This is a great time. Drinking some beers, not sponsored. So we're going to cover the logos. And then tomorrow we're going to a breakfast event.
Yep.
And then in the afternoon it's the live simulcast from 4 until 7.
Yeah.
So
Speaking of breakfast, scrambled jakes.
Name drop.
my
Yeah.
God.
Oh my goodness. Oh
Yeah.
my goodness.
Now maybe it's just a Southern hospitality thing, but the waitresses that helped us while we were there, they were fantastic. I mean, Andy yelled at one of them about his coffee cup not being full, but other than that, it's been a great experience.
Yeah.
It was a warning.
Yeah.
Saying, hey,
Andy,
My hands were greasy from
No, no,
pecan
no, no.
smoked bacon.
Andy threw
And I
his
went
phone.
to check my phone, and my phone flew across the table and hit a bunch of dishes. The whole restaurant got
Yeah.
quiet and looked.
Yeah.
And did you
then-
realize
I had
who-
to make
who
an
came
announcement.
over-
I'm like, guys, I dropped my phone. Everything's cool. Like everybody.
yeah,
was
but you were like super loud. I didn't mean to do that. I'm not mad.
like, did I have a draw?
Yeah. Well, yeah.
But do you know? Did
Is
you?
that how I sound to you?
Yeah, it does.
Okay.
Did you realize who came over? That was like the manager.
Yeah, she came
They
over.
came. Okay, I'll get you coffee here.
Let me get you some more coffee right away.
You from Philly, sir? We knew.
Yeah.
I will just say, Scrambled Jakes, that was not a cinnamon roll. That was a birthday cake.
Yeah.
Oh my
right,
god,
right,
that thing was
right.
huge. It was like the size of my face.
Very good though.
You mentioned the people, right?
Yeah, yeah,
I know
yeah.
I'm a broken record, but the community, like we are
Mm-hmm.
here surrounded by people I never would have met
Oh no,
if
no,
it
no,
wasn't for the whole story. Study group became a podcast.
Got on planes to come here, drove 9 hours to come
People
here.
drove up
Yeah.
from other states
Yeah.
and planes, and we had Chris last year that made Asheville happen.
Oh my god, that
We
would
got-
not have happened without.
We got Eric this year,
Yep.
which
Yeah.
is the Chris of Knoxville.
Yeah.
No. Hold
yeah.
on a second.
That is an honor, sir.
Well, that's how I meant it.
Yeah. No. Let's talk about Eric for just a little bit. This dude is the world's most interesting man of Knoxville.
But
at
hold
least.
on, we're gonna have him on the show, so don't peel the onion
Yeah,
too
but
deep.
I'm just saying that.
He's one of
every
those-
time I talk to him, it's something new.
Yeah, I have learned something amazingly, impressively surprising
Yeah.
every day I've talked to him here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like, wait, you're the mayor too?
Yeah.
You just kept getting.
Just
crazy.
wait what you'll learn tomorrow.
I actually think he's undercover as something else that we don't know yet.
Yeah, right.
Right now.
I'm waiting. I can't wait till tomorrow
Yes.
to ask him another one.
So this community, right, that I didn't have,
Yeah.
sitting in my cable guy truck when all my buddies told me you're wasting your time, your money, this isn't going to amount to anything, and now we're just surrounded by people
Yeah.
all over the world who reach out to us, come physically. Like people have lives and families and jobs, but they're sacrificing their time to be together.
And
It's
there's
just
more
such an
people on the
amazing-
way. I was checking Discord earlier, and there's like a few
Yeah.
more people.
Oh,
like,
really?
I'm on the way again.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh my god.
And it's not a pride thing, like, oh, look at us, people came. I just feel like such a sense of community.
Oh, yeah.
And, I know
Yeah.
love's kind of like, all right, dude, but I really just have this amazing sense of wow, Pete, this means something to people. They come, they organize this stuff. So
Yep.
it just does. It's not lost on me that how amazing the community that's come together is for all of us. I met a family member as a result of this trip. Cousin David heard about the event and the podcast, reached out on LinkedIn. He's like, hey, we're cousins. And, he drove up here. He came up from Virginia. He's looking for a job. So I even met a cousin I never would have met.
That's
He is
wild.
actually my cousin.
Oh, okay. I thought I was on the
you giving
fence
me
for
the
a little
look.
bit. Yeah.
Well, he thought we were this cousin and we're not. And he thought my grandfather was the wrong person. But as it turns out, we're still cousins. He just had the wrong guy. So-
Interesting.
but as a result of everything that's happened up until now with all this stuff,
Yeah.
I met a cousin I never would have met before.
That's
and
crazy.
he came up and he wanted to work at Oak Ridge. I, introduced him to Daniel. Is he going to get a job there? Who knows? But just networking, community, right? Getting
Pressure's
your
on,
name out
Daniel.
there. So anyway, community, just thank you. It
Yeah.
rocks. It's amazing. This is a great experience.
Absolutely.
A1 family reunion.
I love it.
Yeah.
That's good. I love it. All right. Any last minute thoughts on what we've done up until this point and what's happening tomorrow? Awesome. Well, thank you so much, everybody, for being here. We appreciate it. We really do. And we'll.
Somebody's asleep. She's like, oh, I've never heard of a podcast before. What do you guys do? 5 minutes she was snoring. Like these guys are the most boring guys I've ever seen. She's up. Hey! Ken, you just didn't poke her, did you? Honey.
Hey, I've seen that finger before.
They're talking about you.
All right, awesome. This has been a lot of fun. I don't think we're going to do another one of these because we'll have the event until about 7:30 tomorrow, and then we got to pack and get ready to get the heck out of town. But we will release the episode that we record at the live simulcast event, so you can look for that. I'm going to try to edit this and get it out ASAP, so hopefully it's in your ears Saturday morning. And thank you all so much for being here.
Thank you, Eric. Thank
Yes.
you, K-Tech.
Yes.
Thank you, Opengear. Thank you, Alkira.
Yep.
Thank you,
Rodefer Moss.
Rover Moss. I was going to
Rodefer.
say Morgan Stanley. Rodefer Moss.
Rodefer Moss.
Morgan Stanley.
Thank you for
Morgan
everybody.
Stanley.
Thank you, everyone who's made this possible.
Absolutely.
Fantastic. Thanks, everybody.
All right. We'll see you next time on another episode of the Art of Network Engineering podcast.
Hey everyone, this is Andy. If you like what you heard today, then please subscribe to our podcast in your favorite podcatcher. Click that bell icon to get notified of all of our future episodes. Also, follow us on Twitter and Instagram. We are at Art of Net Eng. That's Art of NETENG. You can also find us on the web at artofnetworkengineering.com, where we post all of our show notes, blog articles, and general networking nerdery. You can also see our pretty faces on our YouTube channel named The Art of Network Engineering. Thanks for listening.